Okay, well, this is Ross, everybody. I'm here recording on adverbs, so I'm hoping that this works. Um, this is the continuation of a prior um, worksheet on adjectives. So this adjectives were on up to page 60. This is the TABE M7 adjectives and adverbs. So I'm on page 61 now, going over adverbs. So the goal would be to get through pages 61 and 62, and then continue on in later weeks. So again, if you need to pause or rewind, make sure to do that. But we're doing adverbs today. So basically, an adverb is something that changes the meaning of a verb. It can change the meaning of an adjective or even other adverbs. So basically, when we go through this, you're going to see that they tell when, how, where, and to what degree. Most of the adverbs will end in an ly. So the example that they give here, and I'll use the highlighter, would be the gentle rain fell lightly on my very warm face. So an adverb would be lightly and then very. So it says lightly tells how. So how was the rain falling? It was falling lightly. And then very tells how much. So was your face warm? Was it very warm? So remember, warm is an adjective. So something that modifies an adjective, like the word very, is an adverb. No, I will not attend the meeting tomorrow. No and not are negative. Those are adverbs. And tomorrow tells when. So this says here, sometimes they add a positive or negative sense to the words that they modify. So no and not are negatives. Those would be adverbs. And then tomorrow tells when. So when is the meeting? The meeting is tomorrow. Okay, let's clear off the drawings. Adverbs also change form in comparisons in the same way that adjectives do. So remember, if you watch the adjectives video that we talked about when you compare things, so the comparative would be when you're comparing two things. Superlatives are three or more. So if you have a short adverb of one or two syllables, you add er. Longer, you use more or less. So I'll let you read the rest here, and then we'll go through these 12 together. So here's incorrect and correct. My mail came more earlier yesterday than it did today. Correct would be my mail came earlier. It can't be more earlier. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't agree with the rule. So it's just earlier. My mail came earlier. So for this one, we are underlining the adverb. And I'm pretty good with adjectives. With adverbs, a little bit more shaky. So you just go along with me, and all we're doing is looking for adverbs in this particular worksheet. And this is on page 61. So I think if we scroll down, I don't know if there's answers on this. There are. So we might go look for some answers just to double check ourselves. So I'm going to do 1 through 5, and then I'll let you pause, and you can do 6 through 12. Let me get the pen going. We'll pick blue. Underline the adverb. Was your dog barking noisily all night? So let me actually scroll up, and we'll have the rules in our screen also. So they often tell when, how, where, or to what degree. How was your dog barking? It was barking noisily. So that would be my first adverb for number 1. Was your dog barking noisily all night? 2, go to the bank now before it closes. So they often say when, how, where, or to what degree. So I think maybe we'll do go to the bank now. So when are you going to the bank? You're going to the bank now before it closes. Number 3, Gary never remembers to bring his lunch. To what degree? So how often does Gary remember to bring his lunch? He never remembers to bring his lunch. We're looking for adverbs. Number 4, sounds echo more loudly in an empty room than in a crowded one. So lots of adverbs end in ly. So how do sounds echo more loudly? So I'm going to say it's more loudly is the adverb because I'm looking up here on this rule for longer adverbs, use more or less. Because this is comparative form, so we're comparing an empty room and a crowded room. So sounds echo more loudly in an empty room. Nina boldly drew several lines on the blank paper. So how did she draw them? She boldly drew them. So let's scroll down just to make sure that we're on the right track. I did 1 through 5. Let's scroll down to the answers. And I know my markings are on the board here. So we're on page. So we've got noisily now, never, more loudly, and boldly. Okay, so those are all right from the answers. Noisily, now, never, more loudly, and boldly. So let me get rid of the drawings and you try 6 through 12. And then I'll pause it and then we'll go try them together. Okay, so let's try we'll try 6 through 12 together. And number 6 says, a flock of sparrows quickly ate the bird seed I had scattered. So how did the sparrows eat the bird seed? Well, they ate it quickly. So here we've got an adverb that's modifying a verb. The verb would be to eat it. This is our adverb. A flock of sparrows quickly ate the bird seed. Number 7, Alma sings most clearly of all the choir members. So when I'm thinking this through, I remember adverbs, a lot of the time they'll begin with, or they'll end in ly. I see an ly right here. So Alma sings most clearly of all the choir members. Remember, this is a form of an adverb. It's not comparative, it's superlative. So we are looking right up here. We're going to do superlative. Remember, we're comparing 3 or more. All the choir members, I'm guessing there's more than 3 in the choir, right? So it's going to be most clearly. She sings most clearly. Did you purchase that car recently? So when did you purchase that car? When? Recently. Again, with ly is a good indicator that this is an adverb. Yes, I returned the book to the library. Something that I didn't know before I started teaching adverbs, I'm not an English teacher, but positive and negative words are adverbs sometimes. So, yes, I returned the book to the library. Yes is an adverb. Yes is an adverb. So if you look up here, it says sometimes they add a positive or negative sense to the words they modify. So yes, I returned the book to the library. I don't see another adverb in here. You returned it, it's a verb. A book is a noun. Library is a noun, so it must be yes. Dante exercises less vigorously than I do. What's going on here? This is a comparison between how many things? Dante and you. Dante and you, so it's just two. I'm going to put a C here because this is comparative. This is the comparative form, so less vigorously is the comparative. Look up here, less. I'm circling this way up here for number 10, less vigorously. We almost missed the last bus. To what degree did you miss the last bus? Barely? Did you miss it by 2 hours? Almost. You almost missed it. Almost is the adverb. Adverb. They searched carefully for the missing papers. Well, how did they search? How did they search? They searched carefully. They searched carefully. So this is what I would say are the adverbs for 6 through 12. That's what I would say the adverbs are. And I'll go down to the answer choices, or the answers for 6 through 12. And we'll just do a quick double check, and you can check yourself. So we have quickly, most clearly, recently, yes, less vigorously, almost, and carefully. Those sound pretty much correct from what I remember from page 61. Quickly, most clearly, recently, yes, less vigorously, almost, and carefully. So that's kind of a brief summary on what an adverb is. Let me clear off the drawings. We'll move to page 62. And if you need to pause or rewind or anything, go ahead. So page 62, we'll get through this and then we'll be done. It's practice. So follow these rules before adding ER or EST to an adverb. So these are rules. So let's pretend that this is rule 1, rule 2, rule 3. If the adverb has one syllable, a short vowel, and a single consonant, double the final consonant. Remember, consonant is any letter besides a vowel. Any letter besides a vowel. If the adverb ends in E, drop the E. If the adverb ends in a consonant and Y, change the Y to I. A few adverbs have a special form for comparisons. So remember, we're comparing. We might be comparing 2 things or 12 things. So well, better, best, badly, worse, worst, and then those as well. So fill in the chart below with the correct adverbs. So I'm going to do, I'll do 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you can try 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So for number 1, and I'm tired of blue, let's use orange. Fill in the chart with the correct adverb. So we need, this column here is adverb. The second column is in comparative form. The third column is in superlative form. So our adverb is roughly, more roughly. So what's just the plain adverb for roughly? I'm thinking it's just roughly. So like you could say, how was the man rubbing his son's shoulders or something like that? And you could say it was roughly, he was roughly massaging or something like that. Then if you're comparing, it would be more, and it would be more roughly. You are doing it more roughly than she was. So you're only comparing 2 things. the superlative form is the most. So if you're doing more, so this is the comparative form and this is superlative. So if it's more is comparative, then most must be superlative. So you're doing most roughly. See how this one works? So in the second line, they give you the adverb. So now you have to come up with a comparative form and superlative form. So it says in the rule, if the adverb ends in E, drop the E. So that doesn't apply. If it ends in a consonant and a Y, change the Y to I. That doesn't apply. The adverb has one syllable, a short vowel, and a single consonant, double the final consonant. That probably is what we are talking about. And we're going to add ER or EST. So comparative is going to be sooner. I arrived sooner than she did. So we're comparing only two, right? I arrived sooner than she did. And then you could say out of everybody, I arrived the soonest, because that's superlative. Out of the 10 of us, I arrived the soonest. So we're looking for the adverb, comparative, and superlative. I'll pause. You can do 5 through 10. Okay, so hopefully you filled out 5 through 10. If not, then just follow along with me. Number 5, I hope you noticed, is right here. Number 5 is right here. They give you worse, so it would be badly. The adverb is badly. This is a special. That's bad writing, but you know what I mean. Badly, worse, and then worst. Worst. These adverbs have a special form for comparisons. So that's the only reason why they look kind of weird, because it's special. So the adverb here is neatly. So the superlative is neatly. So the adverb is neatly. What's the comparative form? It's not most. It's going to be more. No, I'm sorry. Neater. Most neatly. Neat. Neatly. I think maybe it's more neatly. Let's try more neatly. And then early. So early, this is going to be rule 3. If the adverb ends in a consonant and Y, change the Y to I. So steady becomes steadier, early becomes earlier, and then the superlative would be earliest. That's how you would do this chart. Okay, so let me erase my drawings, and you can take a screenshot. You can rewind if you need to. And we'll go do 11 through 18. I'll grab my pen. So read each sentence. If the form of the underline is not correct, write the proper form. If it is correct, write correct. So I'll do 11 through 13, and then you can try 14 through 18. So this says, of the 6 singers at the tryout, the first one sang more sweetly. I know this is wrong because we're comparing more than 2 things. This is 6. So that means that the form has to be superlative, and this is in comparative. So the first one sang most, it would be most sweetly. So more is comparative. We don't use comparative because there are 6 singers. We need to use the superlative. So the superlative is most, not more. 12 says the ground shook violently during the earthquake. That one seems fine to me. I'm going to put correct. We crossed the flooded street most safely. There's no comparing here. There's no comparison. I don't see a need to use comparative or superlative. So this one would just be safely. We crossed the flooded street safely. There's no comparing. All right, pause, do 14 through 18, and then we'll come back. All right, 14 says Jan skates more better than I do. This is comparing two things. You're just comparing Jan and yourself on how you skate, but there's no need for more. I'm wondering if I could find the rule for you with this one. The more. So this just says for short adverbs of one or two syllables, add er to compare two things. So for short adverbs of one or two syllables, add er. So better is pretty short. And you know what? I don't know with number 14 if there's a special rule for better. Yeah, here it is. I'm sorry. So comparisons. A few adverbs have a special form for comparisons. So you are comparing. You're just comparing two things. So well is just plain adverb. Better is comparative form. So better is when you're comparing two things. So you're comparing yourself and Jan. So better is the middle. That's the comparative form. So that's why this one would be incorrect, because you don't need the word more. It would just be better. Jan skates better than I do. You don't need more. It's an extra word. 15, of the two fans, the gold one works most quietly. Hopefully you saw that this is only comparing two fans. So what form do we use? Comparative or superlative? When you're comparing two things, you're doing comparative form, not superlative. So the word most, unfortunately, is written in superlative form. We need to use the comparative. And the comparative form is more, not most, more. And you can see it up here, much, more, and most. Much is plain. More is when you're comparing two things. Most is when you're comparing three or more. So we're only comparing two, so that's why more is the correct answer. 3 more and then we'll be done. 16, we closely followed our guide through the museum. That's perfectly fine. That's correct. There's really no comparing here. It's just good old-fashioned closely. 17, Jack threw most farthest in the pitching contest. There's probably 3 or more, so this is going to be superlative, but we don't need most. Most is extra. This is kind of like number 14 in that we don't need the word most. Just farthest is good enough. That's superlative form. You know, when you put est, that is superlative. So he threw farthest. Jack threw farthest in the pitching contest. Jack threw farthest. We might check number 17. 18, nobody complains more loudly than Jeremy. I'm not sure about that one either. That one might be correct. Nobody complains more loudly than Jeremy. Let's go check number 17 and 18. So 18 is correct and 17 is farthest. 18 is correct. 17 is farthest. So 18 they said was correct. Okay, so we're good. So 17 says Jack threw farthest in the pitching contest, and nobody complains more loudly than Jeremy. So nobody complains more loudly. So those are both seem to be good from the answers. So that's pages 61 and 62 for adverbs. If you need to rewind, if you need to do anything, just go ahead and do what you need to do. And thanks for watching the adverbs. And hopefully we'll be back to do the rest of the worksheet. Bye.